Public Library. I would like to welcome you to our first Nature in the Neighborhood series. We are taking a closer look at some of the nature that is all around us in everyone's neighborhood. So often we go out of our ways to go to exotic places or find something new when all around us there are treasures just waiting to be found. We're going to start this week with learning about native plants and why we should include those plants in our gardens or even just on our patios or porch, wherever you have at home. Behind me is the butterfly garden that we planted last year. So thankful for the group of volunteers that helped to make this possible. Our butterfly garden has come back and filled in so well. It's really unbelievable how big these plants have gotten from last year. And we have a really thriving garden here full of native plants. So what is a native plant? What does that mean? Well, many folks, when you plant your flower gardens, you plant flowers that don't normally grow here in Pennsylvania. When we planted our garden, we picked plants that grow here naturally. Why would we do that? Well, for one reason, they're a lot easier to grow. It hasn't rained in nearly a month, and look, they're thriving. We haven't even watered them. So native plants are designed to grow and thrive in this climate. So easy care. Another really important reason and why I plant native plants is because the animals that already live here, the birds, the butterflies, the bees, other insects, they depend on these species for their survival. So we really are creating wildlife habitat. So we're going to take a walk around the butterfly garden and just around the library to check out what we can find living on these native plants that are all around here. And if you stay tuned in the end, I'm going to teach you some ways you can bring native plants to your house and start creating your own native plant sanctuary where you live. We're also going to learn a little bit about how you can become a scientist with your family. We have a citizen science project that is through Journey North, and it tracks the northern migration of animals that come through this way. And in the fall, it then tracks the southern migration. It's a really great opportunity for your observations to be used for scientists to help track the populations of local animals. So come with me and we'll check out the garden. We are between bloom times here in our garden. The only plant we have blooming right now is the white beard tongue, which is an excellent pollinator species for late spring, early summer. They are starting to fade out now, but one of our earliest blooming flowers here, and creates these great clusters of white flowers where the pollinators will actually crawl right inside the tubes to get access to the nectar and the pollen that are inside. Plant that's just coming into bloom in the garden now is our bee balm, which is another one in the top 5 I would add to any native garden that you plant. This is just a favorite for all kinds of pollinators and butterflies and even hummingbirds as well. Some of our plants in our garden are not just planted for their flowers and their nectar that they provide for the animals, but they're also an excellent host species for caterpillars. This is a plant called a golden Alexander, and it is a host species for the black swallowtail butterfly, which means that the caterpillars will eat these leaves as one of their main food sources. The plant behind me is milkweed, and this plant is probably responsible for inspiring a love of nature for me at a very young age. We had milkweeds growing in our front garden when I was a kid, and every year we would have monarch caterpillars on the milkweed. The milkweed is the only type of plant that a adult adult monarch can lay its eggs on, and it's the only type of plant that a monarch caterpillar will eat. So every year we would find caterpillars, we would watch them grow, we would watch them turn into a chrysalis, and eventually watch them eclose as a beautiful monarch butterfly. And those are some of my fondest nature memories and really inspired me to have a love and appreciation of nature and the connections with native plants and native animals. For now, we're just going to check this milkweed and see if there are any monarch eggs or caterpillars on it yet. I have not seen any adult butterflies in the garden yet, but they're sneaky, so they might have been here without me being in here. So let's go ahead and check the leaves and see if we find any eggs. The monarch butterfly lays single eggs on the bottom of the milkweed plant. So you have to check the bottom of the leaves, and the eggs just look like, it's just like the head of a pin, even a little bit smaller. It just have to be really methodical and check the bottoms. The bottom of the leaf is also where you would find any caterpillars. They tend to stay on the bottom so that predators cannot find them as easily. Not seeing any yet. We'll check back on this milkweed. If you're going to have a butterfly garden, milkweed is probably one of the top 5 plants that you should have in the garden because it provides food for caterpillars, it provides shelter for many animals, and it also is an incredible source of nectar as the flower blossoms. So make sure you have some type of milkweed in your garden if you're gardening for butterflies. Now it's time for you to adventure into your own neighborhood and find some plants out there that you can really study and investigate what might be living on them. I have a few things that I suggest taking with you on any nature walk that you go on. I did create a Nature in the Neighborhood bingo card, and this is available in the comment section below, and it's also available to pick up at the library if you're interested. I also recommend that you take a field guide with you. I like the Newcomb's Wildflower Guide for identifying plants that are blooming, that you don't know what they are. You can bring a butterfly guide with you. This is a nice picture guide that can help you figure out what you're seeing. And just another good reading, a field guide to your own backyard, just gives you an idea of some of the common things that you might find in your neighborhood. The last thing that I recommend bringing, if you have one, for you who get one, is an insect net. This is a very lightweight mesh so that it doesn't harm any of the insects. You just use it in a sweeping motion. And then insects will gather at the bottom. A few small pollinators in there. Just do be careful that you don't squish anybody. You can just release them. That's a great way to study things a little bit closer. So I hope you all get out in your neighborhood and report back to me with what you find. I'd love to hear about your adventures.
I want to introduce you to an excellent website. This is the Journey North website. You can use this website to see the migration of many different animals throughout North America. The animal we're going to focus on is the monarch butterfly. You can click on the monarch butterfly and find lots of information about its life cycle, about its habitat requirements, and threats to the butterfly itself. I'm interested in reporting our sightings, anything that we see for the monarchs. So if you would like to do this too, you can register your own sightings. Just go to the sightings tab, and you'll need to create a profile for yourself, but then it's very simple. You just come down here to what species you are reporting, and we're doing monarchs, and you can mark your location on the map, and then you select from the side which you're seeing. If you are seeing your first adult monarch of the year, select this one, but if it's a monarch after that, select adult monarch. You can also report eggs and caterpillars as well. So see if you can create a report, and I'd love to know what you're finding around your area. Check out different animals here too. You can follow their migration. Let's see where the hummingbirds are this year. So you can see that the spring migration is well on its way, and this shows everybody's progress. So the hummingbirds have returned for sure. And let's see the monarchs. If you go to monarchs, you can see where they are too. Monarchs spend the winter down here in Mexico, and they have a generational migration that will get us all the way up here to Pennsylvania and even up into Canada. And then in the fall time, they will fly south and spend the winter in Mexico as adults.
Step is that I hope I can encourage some of you to have native plants in your communities and in your landscaping. Now, having native plants doesn't have to be as extensive as planting an entire garden. You could just leave a small space in your yard that is unmowed, and a lot of beneficial native plants will come up in that space, which will offer habitat for the native insects that live in your area. Another thing that you can do is you can create a container garden for native plants. This could be simply having maybe pick 2 pollinator species that you want to encourage to come to your neighborhood. You could pick a milkweed like we looked at that attract the monarch butterflies, and maybe pick a violet. Violets are very simple to grow, and most lawns have them already available. And you can put them in a container to provide a little bit of habitat for some animals. You can also buy native plants. One great source for that is Beechwood Farms, which is the Audubon Center in Chapel Hill. They have an entire native plant nursery, and they're happy to help you figure out what plants will go the best in your yard. Another wonderful resource is the Pennsylvania Native Plant Society. They have an excellent Facebook group that can help answer your questions about identifying native plants, as well as planting native plants in your own area. So I hope that you do take the time to learn about some of the plants in your area. Take a walk with your family, notice what's growing around you, maybe do our bingo card, and let me know what you find. If you have any questions at all, I'd be happy to answer your questions about native plants or what you might be finding on them, or even to guide you on what plants might work in your neighborhood. Thanks for joining us today, and we hope to see you at the library soon.